Unemployed and Afraid acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on and of the land where you, the listener, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and extend our respect to any First Nations, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, acknowledging that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building brands, businesses, and a career you love with the people who've done it. I'm your host, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into today's story of starting over. So glad you're here, business builder, to hear another inspiring story of trialing and erroring while working for yourself. And let me just say that if you're feeling a little tired, a little run down or flat, all of the things, I feel you. We are pushing hard in this self-employed business building gig, and sometimes it just all catches up with you at once. I think I read somewhere once that it's your body trying to get you to slow down a little so that you're ready for the next big, exciting thing that's on its way. You know, the next big opportunity or the scale up, which is lovely. But geez, it's inconvenient when you still feel like you've got a million things to do. Anyway, it's just my way of saying I'm bloody tired as I've been pushing hard in the building of my business, this podcast, and the Unemployed and Afraid brand, which I'm creating for you. And I am so grateful to have your support by you showing up here to listen today. Okay, so what can you expect from this episode? My guest Jan is just a breath of fresh air. Honestly, so real about the challenging parts of doing your own thing, but so incredibly brave and optimistic at the same time. She just puts the biggest smile on my face, and I know she will for you too. We talk about how you never have to stay tied to who you were, the ongoing and evolving battle with imposter syndrome that we experience, why you should just keep saying yes to yourself. And in an extra bonus, we talk about some very insightful branding tips for ensuring your brand embraces its quirks and stands out from the rest. Well, before I fall into a nap, let's get into it, hey? I'm chatting today with Yan Lim, self-taught designer and founder of personality-driven brand design agency Studio Eclectics. Her business is, in essence, a design studio for modern lifestyle brands. But what they really do is build brands that people fall in love with by infusing personality quirks to win over the hearts and minds of customers and allow self-made creatives to turn passion into profit. Based in Singapore and serving brands worldwide, Yan has worked with fashion labels, card game developers, hair care, candle makers, bakeries, and more. As is the ethos of Studio Eclectics, behind every brand is a human with some unique quirks. Yan, I can't wait to learn all about you and yours and your journey of creating your own brand. Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid.
Hello, so nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you too, and very jealous to hear that you have almost year-round summer in Singapore. It's definitely not what I have here in Hobart right now.
I couldn't survive the cold weather. I'm so used to the hot summer weather here.
Oh, it sounds absolutely lovely. Yan, to kick us off, I'd love to know, how would your best friend describe you?
I think it's going to be hard, but I think it would be I'm multi-passionate. I am responsible. I am a little bit quirky. And I think I can come across as kind of straightforward. Yeah, that's about it.
What are some of your quirks?
Everyone is quirky in their own way. I just like to dissect and analyze things. I just like to whenever I'm watching some movies, some TV shows, I always like to relate it to like branding and do a deeper analysis of it. Yeah, that's just my job, but somehow just taken away my whole life.
And before Studio Eclectics was your work and your job, right back to younger days, who were you?
I was a really shy girl, really shy, introverted, scared of everything in life. When I was young, I was always doing things by the book, following all the rules. I don't break any rules. I was just following rules in school, in life, and everything. So when I was young, in a classroom setting, whenever my teachers would ask questions and would like some answers from the floor, I'll be the first one to actually have my head down because I don't want to be picked. I hated to speak out in front of a classroom. It was so awkward for me and so uncomfortable for me. I hated every moment of it. So yeah, that was me back then. I was so shy and introverted. I can't just express myself freely because I was so scared. So, life happens, so you just grew up. It's better now. It's such a joy to be here talking about it because now I'm so much more confident and be able to express myself. So yeah, that's me back then when I was really young.
And how did you start to express yourself?
I think growing up, I was always trying to express myself in the way that I dress. So I like to creatively express myself through fashion itself. Because to me, fashion is a way that I'm able to express myself creatively because I'm such a creative person, but I don't really use that to my advantage. I don't express myself well. So I use fashion as a way to express myself, to just bring out some of my essence.
It does look, from what I can see on the camera, very cool, your vibe. So I can see that coming into your day to day. What about design? What part did that play in your younger life?
When I was young, my dream job was always to be a fashion designer. So fashion design was something that I love. I watched like America's Next Top Model. They have an idea in their head and they conceptualize it and they execute it. So the idea, they drew it out and then they conceptualize and they have the dress in final form. So to me, that was something really inspiring and special. You're creating something out of your idea in your head. I love to see ideas come to life, and that was something that I love doing. So I started sketching and drawing fashion sketches, fashion design that I have in my mind. So I just started drawing, but there's just one thing. I can't draw. I'm bad at drawing. I suck at drawing. I really admit it. I really suck at drawing. I tried so hard to draw and everything. Even my parents enrolled me in drawing classes, but it didn't turn out well. So I was always the few that was not performing well. I grew really discouraged because everyone was drawing so well and I wasn't at all. Because I can't draw. Even if you have a picture in front of me and you told me to copy it directly, I couldn't. I just can't get the sketch out of me. So I thought, this is not the road for me. I shouldn't be a fashion designer because to me, fashion design is all about sketching, about drawing out ideas. And that was a big part of me that really discouraged me from pursuing what I wanted in life. So that was when I decided to just, living a purposeless life, just cruising through life and just following through the 9 to 5 and things like that. So I ended up enrolling in business major. So I didn't pursue the creative and arts field. I did business because my parents, they say I can't draw. I shouldn't be pursuing anything artsy, anything creative, design related. Because to us, I think to me as well, I thought I needed to draw well to be a design industry, the creative industry. So because of external factors, circumstances and everything, I just forgo the idea of being a fashion designer, pursuing that. So instead, I just went to a really safe and comfortable business major, learning about business management, just really general stuff, general admin, business management stuff, which is not what I wanted. But I was too scared to pursue it because of so many people telling me I can't draw. I myself telling myself I can't draw. There was just something in me that I was so scared to go ahead with it. I did business, it went well, I grew better, so I grew more outspoken, I need to do some presentation for projects and things like that. So naturally, I became less shy, less timid, but speaking out more in class. So from there, I had a great uni life, I guess. It wasn't spectacular, it wasn't something amazing, it was great. I had fun, I had learned a lot. So I went to find my first job out of uni. So I came across this industry because I didn't know what I wanted in life. So I was just applying to different jobs. I'm not sure what I wanted because I studied business. Business is such a big thing, you have business, marketing and things like that. You can venture into different industries. But I landed up in merchandising industry, so merchandising buyer industry in a retail company. Because I still like fashion design, I wanted to do something fashion retail related. So that's when I got into the merchandising industry. It was something that I've never came across with. To me, business was just like business admin, business marketing, but merchandising itself was something special. I had a great time in merchandising industry. My first job was at a reputable sports company in Singapore. So I had a great time learning from my mentors, my supervisors, my boss. In essence, what I do in merchandising is that you are buying clothes, you're buying merchandise for the store itself. So to me, that was something really special, I'm always buying clothes for myself, but now I get to buy for the whole Singapore, for the whole region, for the whole store. I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. I can get to do it for a job because instead of shopping for yourself, you're not shopping for people. To me, that was amazing. And also like fashion itself, I like it because you get to see the behind the scenes, you get to see the sneak peeks of before the next season and things like that. And you get free samples because they have always a sample, always have rejects. I'm a sample size, so I always love samples because I always get that. So from there, I really thought I loved the merchandising industry. To me, it was a joy because I was in fashion, I was buying clothes. Everything would turn out well. Everything was great. And then I ended up pursuing this line. So I thought this was something that I wanted to pursue. So I went and I jumped to another company, which is a bigger company, I guess. It's Cotton On. So I went to work in Cotton On retail, I think started in Australia. So yeah, it was great. I had lots of time, great culture, great benefits. Then COVID started. So COVID happened when I was in Cotton On. So I had more free time, I guess. It was lockdown. Basically, you're not knowing what to do. You have a lot of things to do. You have lots of time on your hands. So from lockdown itself, I realized that even though I really love merchandising, getting sneak peeks, getting behind the scenes of the fashion industry, the buying of merchandise, analyzing sales, I was missing something creative in my life because it's not really an idea coming to life. You have an idea in your head and you conceptualize it, but it's rather analyzing of sales, seeing how the data, the trends, it's not something that's from my head. To me, that was what I needed. And being in lockdown, you can't really expressing myself through clothing, because you're in home. So yeah, I was craving for some creativity, expression. So I started my own handmade jewelry business on the side while I was in lockdown when I was working in Cotton On. You had more time on your hands, you're side hustling. So I ended up making handmade jewelry. I started with the clay jewelry. So for clay itself, it's kind of hard to make. You need to mold it, and then you need to bake it. You need to smoothen it with sandpaper, things like that. It's a lot of steps taken to clay jewelry. It didn't turn out well. So it was a fail. Like I was selling on Etsy, I thought my products are great. I just need to put it out there. I will be successful. But no, things don't work out like that. I was naive, definitely. So I just did that. And then I realized that I did like building a brand by myself, my own brand. So I've started venturing out to different kind of handmade stuff. So I did handmade jewelry. Instead of clay, I did like handmade beaded jewelry. So I bead the necklaces itself and things like that. So I started exploring more on the design aspect. I need to handmade it from the idea I had in my head. And then I did the photography, did the packaging, did the website, logo, everything by myself. So it was through there I really discovered that I kind of like it. I kind of like the whole designing, building a brand aspect. So I learned more about the logo, my social media, my website, and how it should look. So it was through there I discovered that I might have a passion in design. So I can't be a fashion designer per se because I can't draw, but I can do digital design. So it was still a way for me to express myself creatively because I don't need to draw now. I still have digital, I have the computer, the laptop for me. So yeah, it was then I discovered brand design, logo design, built full brand identities, building for brands itself, how they visually express themselves. So in a way, I just dived straight into learning more about it, learning more about everything about design related, branding related. So I went through YouTube, to courses, to books and stuff like that. That in brand design, and I kind of love that I don't work in one brand now. I work with various brands because I think that's what I like, building brands with different brand owners itself. So yeah, that's kind of my story on how I stumbled upon, from a fashion designer to fashion industry to a designer now, to a like brand designer now. Yeah, that's how my journey went.
I think that's just wonderful. I love how a journey can start one way with one intention and then twist and turn and almost rear itself back to originally what you wanted to achieve through a different form of self-expression, and how that can only really come about through the discovery process, through trying things, putting it out there, tweaking it, changing it, and looking back at what really stands out for you and doing the hard things to go on to the next stage. I'm interested in your side hustle a little bit. So your jewelry brand. So tell me about realizing that it wasn't actually what you wanted to do, and therefore sort of shutting it down after you did all of that work. What was that experience like?
It wasn't not what I wanted to do, but rather I was multi-passionate. I can't stick to a thing for long. I guess I'm a multi-passionate person, so I need to express myself creatively in different kind of ways. So from there, I didn't really shut it down, but I put it in the back seat because I was concentrating on studio eclectics because right now it's my baby now. So I didn't really put much effort into maintaining it. So it was through there that, I realized that whatever I like doing, I don't need to be making an income out of it. I can do it as a hobby because right now I have this brand design. I don't need to commercialize everything that I like. It was something that was hard to put across. But yeah, that was something I realized that it can just be a hobby, it can be an interest. You don't have to commercialize it at all.
I love that. That really makes me laugh because it's something that I do whenever I get a new passion or a new hobby. It moves very quickly from, wow, I love this, let me explore a little more, to, oh, how can I turn this into a business? Which can sometimes inadvertently take a little bit of the love out of it, but also put sometimes too much pressure on your creative expression. And you then start to think about what's going to sell and what's going to cut through and what's going to blow this up so I can do more of this every day. But you're absolutely right in that sometimes things can just be for you and they can feed into your other work in unique ways that aren't necessarily a straight linear commercial return. So yes, I definitely had to laugh to myself hearing you say that, thinking, yes, it's exactly what I do. So you touched before then on the self-study that comes with getting into more of the digital design space. You mentioned YouTube and courses. Tell me about that experience a little more, what it was like to start learning those core skills.
It was so hard because growing up, I was scared to take any risks. I always follow the rules, and now there's no rules for me to follow. Everything is on my own. I got to experiment it myself. It was so out of my character. And I think I was scared to dive right in at first. I was definitely facing a lot of hesitations on learning design because no one around me is a designer. I think they're all like business. My friends are all in the business industry. So no one is really a designer. I can't really get advice from my close friends. So I just had to go with my gut. I just started exploring. This time, I don't want to let any external factors stop me from doing what I want because I think it's so hard to find something that you like doing. And when I found it, you really want to just nurture it. Yeah, without any people like obstructing you, without any cop blocks, without any objections at all. Just go for it because I was done living in fear, living with the girl with the head down in classroom. I was done living that because I found something that I like to do and I really want to do it, nurture it. So I really started like just on YouTube, learning the program itself, like Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop itself. Just from there, and just started learning more about the strategy, the design principles, and the strategy behind the logo aspect, the branding aspect. So yeah, I don't know how I managed to just start learning, but surprisingly, it just started. I really don't know what was a starting point, but I just figure it out myself, experiment myself. I think there's no clear way to get started, but rather you just need to start taking action.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think I've said this in another podcast before, but there's a little sign that lives on my desk at the moment, which says action creates information. And it's my own reminder that you don't necessarily have to know before you start all of the steps. So in your example, I start with learning Illustrator and then Photoshop, and then I'll go on and do this course, and A plus B, it keeps going on. And then all of a sudden I'll know everything. It's more just, let me start with this one thing. Let me see where that leads me to. Let me just keep following this thread until it starts to unravel itself and I can see where to go to next. And I just think it's so wonderful that you just got started and just got straight stuck into it. I know that we did just say we try not to commercialize everything and just do it for the love. But of course, there must have been a moment where you decided, yes, I can turn this into a business. This could actually be something I really enjoy doing. So tell me about that thought and how you got started in that space.
I was still working 9 to 5 in Cotton On. And then this was like my side hustle, just doing it on the side because I wanted to learn something because it was not a business yet. It was just something on the side. During my time at Cotton On, I actually got approached by my colleague. She had an open position at a company she was working at. So actually I jumped and went over to a company to work. It's still in the merchandising industry. I did hesitated a little bit, but at the moment I was still scared. I wasn't ready to go full in yet. And then it was a reputable company. So instead of a fast fashion, now I went on to luxury company. So it was something that looks great on my resume. I was still scared. I still wanted the resume to look good because I'm not sure where I'm going next. But I had this opportunity presented to me. So I thought, why not just take it? Even though I secretly in my heart knew that I wouldn't be happy about it. I wouldn't enjoy myself in the industry already, but I still took it because it was like a 1-year contract kind of thing. So I just said, let's go for it. Like 1 more year. If that doesn't work out, I'll think about my next steps because just go one step at a time. I went on to the luxury company, so I had fun. It was still something that I liked doing. I still see the behind the scenes, all the new handbag stuff now. Instead of fast fashion, it was like handbags, things like that. So it's another world. I was still learning something new, but I started feeling like it was not fulfilling to me anymore because I was just buying the merchandise, going through life. It was just not something that I wanted to do in the long run. I think it's run its course. So I've been in this industry for about 5 years. I went through sports fashion retail, fast fashion, luxury, but I still couldn't find a spark in me anymore, like when I was starting out. So I wasn't excited about it anymore. I found something that I love doing more. So it wasn't exactly that I hated my job, but rather I found something that I enjoy doing more and I find more joy and fulfillment in it because I'm helping other brand owners actualize their dream, taking their passion to profit and helping them with their brand identity, building a brand from the visuals itself. So in a way, I'm creatively expressing myself, but also helping other brand owners. That was something that was super fulfilling to me, getting to talk to them, learning about how they start their business, how they did everything. It was something that was special to me. It's not going to come from my 9 to 5 job because that was a big company. You don't really hear the behind the backstory and everything. It was just like go, go, go. But when you take a step back and you want to help people go after their passion, pursue their dreams, it was something that I'm more passionate in. I want to help them realize that they can make a living while doing what they love. This is something that I stand for because that's what I did without any support, but rather I just dive right in because I love it and I want to do it. And I want to help people realize that they can do it too.
And how did you find your first client?
It was really hard to find clients. Finding clients is not easy, but there's so many ways that you can find a client. There's no one fixed way to find a client. So I started out on freelancing platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and on Instagram. I also was on Instagram and I reached out to a studio. So a studio just said that they were hiring some freelance designers. So I went ahead, just applied, and I got it. So I had my first experience building a brand identity for like different brands. So it was through there that I realized that, yeah, I need to refine my skills. I need to practice more and I need to learn the business aspect of running a studio. Because I'm a self-taught designer, I was focused on learning the design principles, having a great design, having a design eye. And now I need to learn the business aspect because that's totally different. And nobody tells you how to run a business because, you're a service-based business done for you. You need to deal with clients. You need to know what's the process like. How do you do discovery calls, invoices, things like that. It's tricky. So I faced a lot of imposter syndrome from being a self-taught designer and also being a design business owner. There's no straight way to be a business owner. It takes lots of experimenting and figuring out on your own. Now I'm still figuring it out on my own. So yeah, I don't think there's a straight way to get like your first client, but rather just putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid to reach out to people if they are hiring. Don't think that your work is not good enough, you don't have enough experience. Just put yourself out there. Someone will like you for you. Someone will like your designs for you. I was scared to put myself out there because I'm just a small design studio, but I still reach out to you. And we are having this talk now, so I think you wouldn't know. Just reach out. Even though you feel the imposter syndrome, you feel you're not good enough, I think action is the word. Action is my word for 2023. So I'm taking big actions this year.
I love that. That's such a good mindset to have for the year ahead, for any time ahead, just to take action, just do something every day that leads you further and further along the path.
So tell me about the experience of going full-time to work for yourself.
It was really scary. And my first month, I didn't know what I was doing. I just wake up and I just go through life like, what am I doing? How do I do this? I don't know anything at all. Yeah, I just go on my computer and start. Nobody is instructing me. I have no boss now. Everything is all on my own. I love that, but it's also scary at the same time. So I think I grew like first few months was difficult for me to find a rhythm, find a routine on how to get started in this busy internet world. Like I said, taking imperfect actions every day. Whether today I want to learn something more about design, tomorrow I want to learn about networking, I want to learn about outreaching, and then the next day I could focus on maybe doing content creation, things like that. I just think it's hard to see the end result, but rather you gotta be in the moment and do whatever it takes, like small steps for you to get along the way. So that's how I did. I don't really have a fixed thing to do every day now. So I'm still figuring out my schedule. I do like Monday and Fridays, no calls. The rest of the days are like for client work and calls, things like that. So see what you're comfortable with. To me, I wanted Monday and Fridays to be more of like admin days, things I can catch up on. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays to be like more on calls, discovery, going on podcasts, things like that, things that takes up more of my time. Because I think in a creative field, you can't really have designated hours. I think you can't say, I want to get my logo up by this hour. It's hard. Sometimes you don't have the idea for it. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere, when you're just watching Netflix, suddenly you have this idea of a logo, idea of how you want to come to be. So I think don't give yourself so much pressure on following a schedule. Like you have to get this done by today, get 3 idea concept today. But I think it's rather just letting it flow through you. You still have to meet your deadlines, but rather instead of forcing it out of you, but letting it flow through you, taking like things that you enjoy doing, and suddenly the idea will just come to you. So stress on getting the idea out, but rather just going through like the motion.
It's funny, I actually have a similar schedule to you now, and it's only something I've just very recently realized works, which is setting 2 days of the week where you don't have any fixed meetings for a certain thing. So yeah, I do the same. I try to do no meetings on Mondays or no interviews on Mondays, and then allow Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to be kind of the heavy days where you're interacting with other people. So you can create just a little bit of space for admin, for content creation, for thinking, for just sitting and staring out the window for half an hour just to see what comes in. Because it's amazing, you often solve far more problems by just sitting there and trying not to think about it instead of just staring at the screen of the computer, just trying to plug away. But I do think that that's something that you learn more and more as you go through the process and try things that don't work for you. How has your journey been now in terms of working for yourself? Now you are responsible for your financial income, you're responsible for finding your clients. So how has that financial journey been for you?
It's not easy, definitely. So I'm living with my parents. I would love to move out soon. So yeah, definitely it's one of my goals for 2023, 2024. Financially, it's not easy because coming from a stable income, 9 to 5, every month you get a fixed income, to now you have to find your clients yourself. You are not unstable. So it's something that you need to shift your perspective about. So it's not that, you are not getting a fixed income, but rather you are like finding more income, more opportunities your way. I'm not sure how to put it across, but it's just that it's not easy because stability is something that is, we take it for granted, definitely. But now that you're hustling, it gives you more drive to put yourself out there, to to market yourself, to promote yourself. I think it's also part of growth. When you're in a 9 to 5 stable job, you don't really grow from there because, you get a fixed income anyway, regardless of whether you do your work well or not, you are going to get a fixed income. But when you're working for yourself, you got to put yourself out there. You got to know your own value and what value you bring to your clients and how you can help them. You are deserving of the amount, a budget that you set for yourself, that you ask your client for. You are the one deciding your prices. So I think it's just something that I have to be comfortable with doing because I was really scared of instability. But now that I grew more confident in speaking out, speaking to clients, speaking out like even on podcasts and interviews, it goes to show that I can set my own prices. I can decide my own money, how many clients do I want to take on each month, things like that. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding your way through it. as well.
Being a self-taught designer, has there ever been any hurdles for you in the running of your business?
Of course, so much imposter syndrome. Like, I don't have experience. I don't work in a design studio, design agency. Everything to me was learning on my own. But I faced lots of doubts on it. But I shift my perspective in another way, that I did everything by myself. I was eager enough to learn everything on my own. And I was tenacious. I like the word. Without the passion, without the tenacity, you are not able to self-learn everything yourself. There was some point in time you're going to give up, you're going to lose motivation. But I was willing to put in the work and put in the effort to actually learn and better my skills every day. So that's something that is hard to come across. I think people take it for granted that they are in design school, they have experience, but coming from me with like zero knowledge, I learned everything on my own. It goes to show that I'm really passionate in my work, and I really want to do the best that I can to learn about design itself. Even though I may not have formal education, but I think that education can be learned from anywhere, anyone. I think you have something new to learn every day.
Yep, I would agree with that. And in terms of your clients' work, has there ever been a situation where you haven't enjoyed the process, or you've had challenging clients come through the door you had to learn to work with?
There's so many. I don't know where to begin. Yeah, I think when you're starting out, you wouldn't get an ideal client straight away. Especially when you're starting out, people take advantage of you. I'm just gonna put it out there. People are gonna like exploit you a little, things like that. But definitely, I had this client. It was one of my first few clients. So I had her. We started talking in like May, but we only began to work in like September because she delayed the work. She needed some time off. So we began in September, and we only ended the whole work in like December. So it took a really long time. There were lots of delays and miscomm in between, things like that. So I think it's about learning through the process. Like, without experiencing it, I wouldn't know that there are gonna be some clients that are hard to deal with. Because to me, it was just like, I just need to follow this, and then I have this process, clients will follow it, and yeah, it will be over. The whole project will be very smooth. But it never works out that way. There's always gonna be something that happens that is unexpected, that you can't prevent from happening, because you don't know what kind of clients are looking for, what kind of things that they want. So yeah, it was through that client itself, I realized that I need to set some boundaries as a business owner. I think sometimes they see me as an employee because just answering to her, adhering to her needs. But then I realized I take a step back, that in order to be taken like a business owner, I need to have a mindset of a business owner instead. So there's just something to learn from each journey. And then it was from there I realized I need to tighten up my contracts, tighten up my communication, everything. Yeah.
It's such a learning experience, isn't it? What would you say your ideal client would be?
I think my ideal client would be someone who is willing to experiment, is experimental, that they don't stick to a certain style, but rather they would tell me about their story, tell me about their journey, and I will collaborate with them to come up with a visual identity that represents them. So using their expertise of their knowledge of their industry and my expertise on design itself, together we come up with something that is special and unique to the client. So it's about collaborating, definitely, and also someone who values my work and is just willing to experiment. I think it's hard to find clients that you just take the idea. They always have something in their mind already, but if they let go and just let the designer do the work, sometimes magic things happen because your designer has another perspective. You as a client, you are business owner, you already have the perspective of it should be this way, this way, this way. But when you have another outside perspective, you might not have that perspective that you've never seen before. Your designer offers something different and something unique that sometimes it may help you stand out a bit because you're in your industry for so long, you don't see outside of it. But your designer is neutral, so she has no like biases against it. So it's just something that I wish more clients would be more willing to be more experimental and just value your designer. Yeah.
Is there a brand that you really admire?
I think right now in Singapore, there's this one brand called Beyond the Vines. I think they do their marketing and their branding really well. They have a lot of like cute pop-outs, and also each launch, they do like something really different and innovative. That's something that I like. I love their brand itself. It's very vibrant and it's full of personality. I think as a brand, it's got to be more than just your visual aspect. It's about personality itself, on how every brand has a human behind it. Every brand is a living human. So you have to live out your brand just like a human, just like a person. So with that, it comes from your visual aspect, the way your brand acts, the way your brand talks. So I think all comes down to having a personality. It's more than just having nice visuals and nice photography, but rather the whole personality itself.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to make sure to check out that brand and see what it's all about. And I agree with you. It's nice sometimes to have a little bit of fun with what you call yourself, how you put yourself out there, how you show up. I mean, my podcast is called Unemployed and Afraid. That does. I remember when I first told a few people about the name of this podcast. Oh, that sounds really negative. I'm not sure that's going to fly. And I'm like, no, I'm going to back myself because it's exactly how I feel. So I'm just going to put that out there and we'll see how we go. And so far, so good. So I agree with you. It's about having a little bit of fun and you're inspiring me. Perhaps I can sweat that a little bit further and see how else I could grow my own. So you're inspiring me along this chat as well.
Yeah, I think everyone should be quirky. You shouldn't be like trying to be perfect, but rather just as a human, you have imperfections and you shouldn't be scared to show it. As a brand itself, you shouldn't be scared to show, even if you mess up and things like that. Just be open and transparent. And I think people who relate to you will definitely see that, it's so honest, it's so authentic, it's genuine, things like that. I think don't have to be putting up a perfect front to attract your ideal clients, but rather just be authentic and genuine with them. Yeah, just like dating. You can't just be perfect all the time when you're dating, but rather a great connection forms when you have your imperfections, your quirks, and you work it out together and you resonate and relate with them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Where would you like to see your business grow over the coming years?
I would love to work on more projects, definitely more ideal client projects. So anything that is more of handmade stuff. I'm since being a handmade craft person, so I would love to work more with like handmade jewelry, handmade businesses, things like that that's formed from their craft itself. So yeah, it's something that I'm passionate about, people with their craft and then building their brand. I would love to help them out. Design studio wise, I would love to have a little lean team, so not a big agency, but rather some help. I definitely need some support and help whenever I need it. So yeah, definitely like a small 5 team, we get to have meetings together, brainstorm together, and just work on projects together with different kind of fields. So maybe I'm not great at drawing, illustration, I could get an illustrator, things like that to complement the whole brand itself.
Brilliant. And the question I always like to ask at the end of our podcast is really how we can help you grow on that journey. So, you've come on here and shared so much about yourself and your journey to help other people as well feel supported on their journey in finding what it is that makes them happy, but also growing a brand and a business and not being afraid to test things out, try, go, get big, make millions, and just absolutely kill it working for yourself. So how can the listener and I support you on your journey to keep growing?
You can visit my website. Yeah, definitely it's my website. And if you ever think that, building a brand is difficult, like you want a cookie cutter way of building a brand, there's no cookie cutter way. I would encourage you to think about your whole story and your whole journey and how you can incorporate some of that into your whole brand itself. Telling your story through your brand, and it's not about cookie cutter way, following the trends, following the viral trend, trying to go viral, but rather looking at yourself and how your journey and your story is authentic and unique to you and you only, from your quirks and your personality, and how you can build a brand just from your quirks and your personality.
I love that. I'm going to make sure to have the link to your website, of course, in the show notes and all of your socials as well, so that the listener can connect with you, see your beautiful work and be inspired by your journey of going out your own, learning something new and trialing and erroring until you land in a space that feels really exciting and really challenging. Yan, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you today, to get all of your vibe, all of your story. I so appreciate you sharing your story with me.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be on your podcast. It's something that I wanted to do for a long time. So lovely to meet you and talk about my story.
One quick thing, if you're hearing this, you've listened all the way through. Hopefully that means you really like this podcast because it's pretty generous to give up 40 odd minutes of your time for it. If that is the case, please leave the show a star rating and a review. It helps me reach so many more people who might also listen all the way through and get some benefit and some support out of it. Not to mention, it puts a real spring in my step to read them. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the stories of starting over with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review, and of course, join the community on Instagram and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid. See you there.